We've got Thursday night football between the Saints and the Rams, and I have my two favorite NFL player props for you guys to lock in. Now, it's admittedly not been a good couple days, couple games with these NFL player props. I've had a pretty brutal cold streak that continued on Monday night. I had A.J. Brown, 8+ receptions. I had DK Metcalf, anytime touchdown. Did not get any of those to cash. End the day 0-2, down 2 units. That brings our total profit season to date down to plus 16.24 units of profit with an ROI of 9.37%. An ROI of over 9% isn't bad in and of itself, but considering we've been over 10% basically since I started doing these pumped up props, it's not great that we've now gotten below 10%. So hopefully we can turn things around for Thursday night football. I do have two plays that I really do like that we can get into. So play number one, obviously again, Saints versus Rams. Alvin Kamara over 29.5 receiving yards. This is minus 114 odds at FanDuel. Now I will say I did want to pump this up a little bit. As of right now, when we're recording this, books aren't offering any alternate lines for his receiving props, but I did want to get this out, and I really do like this play, so I'm just going with his main line. But to talk about the play, for some reason, I just don't think books know how to correctly price Alvin Kamara and his receiving props. He gets so much work in this Saints receiving game, or he gets so much work in the receiving game for the Saints offense. They lack a lot of outside weapons. It's really just Chris Olave, and he's even banged up. So because of that, Alvin Kamara gets a ton of work in the receiving game. On the year, so he's played 11 games since he returned from suspension. He has gone over 29.5 receiving yards in 9 of those 11 games. Now, generally, when someone is hitting at that much of a rate, that almost makes me want to bet the opposite, because it's one of those things where he's been doing it so much that eventually the other side is going to have to come. He just gets so much work that I have a hard time seeing that happen, even if they're just dump offs. On the year, only one time has he had fewer than 5 targets. In 2 games, he's had double digits. In another 2 games, he's had 8 targets. In another game, he had 7 targets. So that's 5 games alone where he's had 7 or more targets. And again, he's only gone fewer than 5 targets one time. Even though they're just dump offs and screen passes, that type of receiving volume in itself is awesome. In this game, I'm expecting the Saints mostly to be losing most of the game. And we still don't know who is going to be healthy at receiver for the Saints. Chris Olave missed last game with an ankle injury. Now I'm recording this on Tuesday, so I don't have the full amount of information, but he missed practice so far and is currently listed as questionable. So in my opinion, he's iffy at best to play in this one. So I see this being another scenario in which Alvin Kamara gets 5+ targets, pretty easily gets us to 30+ receiving yards. Again, I did want to pump this up, but right now alternate lines aren't offered, so we're just officially tracking whether he gets to 30 or not. I'm very confident that he does as our first play. Next up, same game, Kyren Williams, 100+ rushing yards, plus 125 odds at DraftKings. Now, plus 125 odds for someone to get to 100+ rushing yards might not seem like that good of value, but you have to look at the type of workload and in general how good Kyren Williams has been, and it starts to make sense. So he's had 20 or more rushing attempts in 3 straight games. He's also had 20 or more rushing attempts in 4 of 5 and in 5 of 7 games. So he's getting a lot of work. 20 or more carries a game is a lot for running back in these days. In that same stretch, he's had 100+ rushing yards in 2 straight games. He's had 100+ rushing yards in 4 of 5 games and in 5 of 7 as well. So basically, in that same stretch, he's getting 20 or more carries basically every game, and he's clearing 100+ rushing yards also basically every game. In this same 7-game stretch, he's had games with 158, 143, 152 rushing yards last game against the Commanders. He's playing incredibly well. He's getting an obscene amount of work, and I see no reason why both of those things shouldn't continue for Thursday. Looking at the matchup here, the Saints have a good passing defense. They have a terrible rushing defense. Looking at DVOA, the Saints currently have the 8th ranked passing defense in the NFL and the 24th ranked rushing defense. So they're significantly better against the pass than they are against the run. You can run on them, really can't throw on them. And they've been especially bad on the ground recently. Over the past 4 weeks, they're allowing 125 rushing yards per game. That's the 3rd most in the NFL in that span. considering Kyren gets 99% of the carries for the Rams, if the Saints just allow their average rushing yards, that's probably all going to go to Kyren, getting us to 100 plus. I see this as a smash spot for Kyren Williams. You can honestly pump his number up to 150, and I think that there still could be some value there with the way he's running. Again, we're only tracking whether it gets to 100, but I do think this is an opportunity to pump him up, again, up to 150. And that's all we got. 2 plays, both backing a running back, Alvin Kamara receiving yards, Kyren Williams rushing yards. Let's hope we can get both of these plays to cash to get us back into our winning ways. And that's all we got. Appreciate everybody for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and have a good one.